So now you know the variables and functions we define in a module are scoped to that module. They're private and not visible from the outside. But you might be wondering how Node does this. So let me show you. On the very first line of the logger.js module, I'm going to create a syntactical error. So define a variable x and set it to nothing, like this. So make sure to write this code on the very first line. In other words, if you have a line break here and do this on the second line, you're not going to see what I'm going to show you now. So put this back on the first line. Here we have a syntactical error. Now, back in the terminal, let's run the application again. Okay, we got unexpected token, semicolon, right? But look above this line. You see this function declaration. So this function has a few parameters: exports, require, module, file name, and dir name. So let me copy this code here. Now, basically what happens under the hood is that Node does not execute this code directly. It wraps it inside of a function, and that's the function you saw. So at runtime, our code is going to be converted to something like this. So we have this function declaration. Here's the body of that function. Now for now, I'm going to remove this error here. So this is our code. And then we have the end of this function. Now the actual code is slightly more complicated than this, but we don't want to get distracted with that complexity. If you're a more advanced JavaScript developer, you probably know this is an immediately invoked function expression, or IFI. If you don't know that, don't worry, that's not really the scope of Node. What I want you to take away here is that Node does not execute our code directly. It always wraps the code inside each module in something like this, inside of a function. Now look at these arguments to this function. So you have seen the require function. I told you that this require function appears to be global, but actually it's not global. In fact, it's local to each module. So in every module, require is one of the arguments that is passed to this function. We call this function the module wrapper function. Okay? So you have seen the require function. You have also seen module. That is what we're using here. So we have module.exports. We also have exports, which is a shortcut to module.exports. So if you want to add a function to module.exports object, you can either write module.exports.log equals log, or you can write exports.log equals log. But you cannot reset this exports like what we did earlier. In other words, you cannot write exports equals log, because this exports is a reference to module.exports. We cannot change that reference, okay? So these are the first three arguments. We also have file name and dir name, which represent the name of this file and the path. So let's have a quick look at these arguments. On the top, I'm going to do a console.log of underline file name and also underline dir name. Now, we're not going to have this function, this module wrapper function. This was purely for demonstration. So I'm going to revert the code back to what we had before. Okay. So now we don't have any errors in this module. Let's go back to the terminal and run this program. So node app.js. So here on the first line, we have file name, which is the complete path to that file, that is logger.js. And on the second line, we have the path to the directory that contains that module. So now you have a basic idea about Node modules and how they work. You know how to create them, how to load them. But Node itself comes with a bunch of useful modules that we can use in a lot of applications. And that's what we're going to look at in the next lecture.